Yeah, I don't know. To me, Trey Lance has traits but no track record. Sam
Hmm.
Darnold has traits but a track record, and his track record isn't good. So I
Hmm.
now can the 49ers somehow with a better surrounding cast, take away a lot of the negative that was attached to Darnold? Some some. I mean, I when a quarterback fails, some of it's probably on him. Some of it might be on his O line. Some of it could be on his weapons, his receivers, his runners. Some of it could be on the play caller. There's a lot of people involved in the whole process. And you were just talking about, the quarterback's just the head. And so oftentimes we react to the head, or everything's about the head, but it's not necessarily about the head. It could be any number of factors. But I guess because Darnold's had um, 4 years in the NFL to kind of find his way, and it hasn't happened. Color me skeptical. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the skeptical guy on Sam Darnold, just because I don't. I got to see it. It's like with Trey, it's a much more of like a blank slate.
Hmm.
So for him to have traits and potential, that to me is normal. He's played 4 games, but for Sam Darnold to be in year 5, and we're still talking about, well, he's got these traits and those traits. Who the hell cares? He hasn't been able to do it. Whether the ball comes out on time or not, he turns it over too much. He throws too many interceptions. He fumbles too much. Is that because the Jets' offensive line was bad? Maybe. Is that because Carolina didn't have good enough receivers? Maybe. You know what I mean? How much of it's Sam versus the Jets and the Panthers? I'm sure some of it is Jets Panthers, but I think some of it's Sam. Where with Trey, um, I just think I have more hope for his, kind of breakthrough than Darnold's breakthrough. I mean, that's what both of those guys are searching for. They're talented guys who are searching for a breakthrough. And if I had to gamble every dollar I had on one of them, I'm betting on Trey over Sam. How about you? Where would you wager there?
Well, it's a really fun conversation because I get it. You have the negative experiences of what Sam Darnold has done in the past to
Right.
draw from, and you don't have that with Lance. So I get it. I totally understand that part. The other side I'll say is if you followed the 49ers for any length of time, if you were a 49er fan in 2010, you did not think you wanted Alex Smith to get the hell out of San Francisco in 2010.
No
You
doubt.
wanted nothing to do with Alex Smith in 2010. This guy was awful. He sucks. Get him out of town. He's no good. He had played 87 games by the end of that season, turned the ball over all over the place. I don't know if it's 87 games, but he played a lot of games, had a lot of turnovers, very Sam Darnold type of numbers. In comes Jim Harbaugh, and all of a sudden, the guy plays at a very high level. The 49ers get all the way to the NFC Championship game, maybe even would have won the NFC Championship game if they had any wide receivers other than Michael Crabtree on that team, and didn't have a guy that fumbled 2 punts. So you kind of look at that as the positives. So and his situation was very similar, right? The situation of Alex Smith, he had different offensive coordinators every year. The head coaches were a mess, very similar in that regard. And then he got into it with a situation where it was a good one. So that's the positive. The negative of this kind of thing is it doesn't work with everybody because there's guys like Josh Rosen who had all the traits and was awful with the Cardinals. The 49ers picked him up and he was awful here, and he never even made it past the third team, and they cut him like 2 weeks into training camp. And then you also have the former number one pick or top pick out in Jacksonville, the quarterback there, Blake Bortles, kind of a same situation, struggled all along, ended up with the Rams. He struggled. I mean, it's not 100% in either direction, but it's just a matter of, I don't know. I'm not here to sell you that Sam Darnold is going to be the guy. What I'm saying is I'm open to seeing what he can do in an environment that's going to be the best that he's been in. And
Yeah.
if he
No,
can
I am
come
too.
out and he can perform, that's awesome, and that's great. The only way that he should be above Trey Lance, though, is if he is clearly above Trey Lance. If the two are even close, then you roll with Lance because he's the guy that has more upside because of his age, even though they're both, 25 or less. So
It
we'll see
is
how it
am-
plays out.
it is amazing though how many football people with credentials, from Kyle Shanahan himself to Michael Lombardi, to Mike Martz, who there, a number of different people have come out in support of Sam Darnold, saying that Sam Darnold is going to, Kyle said he's got as good a skill set as he's seen. It seems like there's always some NFL insider who's like, hey, don't sleep on Lance or don't sleep on Sam. He's coming. And yet we haven't really, outside of Christensen in this article coming out about his reworked motion, I haven't really heard any credible football person come out and say, I've heard a lot of fans come out and say it. I've heard a lot of content creators come out and say it, but I haven't heard any real football people come out and say, you know what? Trey Lance is going to be phenomenal. Christensen kind of did, but I haven't heard any NFL person attach their opinion to that. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like this summer. I can't wait for it. It's going to be absolutely an awesome show every single day. And the beautiful part about it is we're going to get two sides. We're going to get the side that they tell us, like, hey, this is what we see. And then you and I are going to be standing right there going, well, this is what we see. And it's going to be phenomenal theater. And I hope that what they tell us we see and what I think we see is the same. Because if they tell us we're seeing awesomeness and we feel like we're not, that's when this thing's going to get really ugly, potentially.
And if I can really quick, just I was going to say was, on that whole thing where what we've heard from Shanahan and what we've heard from other people, what we've heard from Shanahan is accurate, right? He's got as good a skill set as anybody out there. He does. That's why he was taken where he was and all those kind of things. But what's different from what Kyle Shanahan has said and what you're hearing from everybody else that's not a member of the 49ers that's reporting on this, that are saying that Sam Darnold is going to be the guy. Watch him. He's going to be the starter week one, all that kind of stuff, is that Kyle Shanahan's never come close to saying that he's going to be the guy. He's never come close to saying he's going to be a starter. All he said is that they're excited about having him on their team, which I think he would say about any quarterback that they signed that has a bigger name, that they're excited to get the chance to work with him and all those types of things. So there's been so much speculation around this, and so much of it is coming from folks outside of the building. And I do think that Kyle Shanahan is looking forward to working with him. I don't necessarily think that he's expecting him to come in and be blow everybody out, away and be week one starter necessarily.